As you can see here, I've finished my project of installing the vinyl plank flooring in our foyer. There's one additional thing I need to do inside this closet to finish it. Above the basement stairwell, there's a 45-degree angle section in here that I need to cover up. And I've decided I'm going to cover that with vinyl plank flooring. So in this video, I will show you how I did that using construction adhesive. Prior to installing the first roll, I'll have to cut the bottom edge on a 45-degree angle. Because vinyl plank flooring is a composite of multiple layers, the saw will leave a jagged edge when cutting through the top printed layer. To reduce this chance of a jagged edge, I set up my table saw to cut off the lip right at the edge of the top layer. Hey, here are some common sense tips. Before using any tools and products, be sure to consult the owner's manual for proper operating methods and appropriate safety gear. Here's what the tile edge looked like before cutting a 45-degree angle on the edge. Paying close attention to this next piece, you can see that the edge is not jagged because I did not cut into the top printed layer. After doing some research on which adhesives was best for foam-backed vinyl plank flooring, I decided to go with a hybrid approach using both liquid nails and hot glue gun. Hot glue does provide a superior adhesion, but since the glue gun I'm using has a limited output, I wouldn't be able to get enough in place before it began to harden. The hot glue will cure in less than a minute and will hold the planks in place while the liquid nails adhesive cures. Vinyl plank flooring is relatively easy to work with. Just take a straight edge and a utility knife and score the top edge. Make sure you have a scrap piece of flooring or something down to prevent any damage to your finished floor. Just take the board, snap it in half, take your utility knife and cut the backing, and you're done. It turns out my wall isn't exactly 90 degrees from the rows of vinyl plank flooring. To adjust for that, I set a piece of flooring in place, take a straight edge and hold it firmly against the wall to transfer the angle to the vinyl plank flooring. Then I take a straight edge and put it on the line I just marked, and I cut the vinyl plank flooring at the same angle as the wall is to the floor. When I get to this last section of flooring to put in place, I notice that the width is shorter on one end than it is the other end. To adjust for that, I will measure the width at one end and then measure the width at the other end. I then mark the width on each end and take a straight edge and cut the length of the board to each mark that I put on the board. Because this ends up being a very narrow piece of vinyl that I'm cutting off, it is kind of hard to take it and bend it and break it in half. Therefore, I put it on the edge of the bench and take a mallet and tap it to break it. When I have a narrow piece to break off on a full length of a board, I often will put a piece of wood along the top edge and clamp it down when I use the mallet to tap it to break it in half. This is to ensure that there's no fracture in the piece that I want to keep. An alternate method would be to draw a line where you want the cut to be and take a jigsaw and cut along that line. But you risk the edge not being very straight if you use that method. When I got to this vertical riser part of the project, I started using two glue guns to help add a greater volume of glue to ensure that the vertical riser portion stayed in place properly. Here you can see the drywall ended about a 1/4 inch above the flooring that I just installed. Since this is the inside of a closet, I just decided to go ahead and caulk this in. In this next portion here, I will show you how I went about using tape to help ensure a nice straight line with the caulk. I'm using a paintable silicone caulk. Some people take off the excess with their fingers, but I prefer using a tool to take off the excess to keep my fingers clean and limit the mess. As you can see here, I accidentally wiped off too much caulk in this area. If I were to leave that, it'd be an uneven line. Therefore, I just go back and add a little more caulk and then re-wipe it so it's even. When using this method, I recommend removing the tape right away. Otherwise, you risk removing some of the caulk along with the tape. Well, that's a wrap for this project. If you found this video useful, go ahead and click the like button. And if you'd like to see more content like this, please hit the subscribe as well.